Deputy Speaker. And Deputy Speaker, that last address tells Queenslanders everything they need to know. Member for Ipswich spent more time talking about the LNP than she did about the bill. She spent more time talking about the LNP's commitments that service her electorate than her record of 10 years in this place. 10 years of Labor failure in Ipswich because of incompetent members like those opposite, Mr. Speaker. Those opposite don't like it, Mr. Deputy Speaker. They don't like it, but the reality is those opposite had 10 years to deliver for their communities and they failed. They failed. What did the former Palaszczuk and then Miles Labor government do about addressing the exits on the Cunningham Highway that the member for Ipswich now writes to me about? Nothing. Nothing. Zero. So those opposite like to complain and they like to make loud noises, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but when they had the opportunity to deliver for their communities, they failed. Contrast that with the LNP. We make very clear commitments to the people of Queensland. Our 100-day commitments were very clearly enunciated and we have delivered on every single one of them. Every single one of them, Deputy Speaker.
Members to my left.
Including the LNPs. I'll take that interjection from the Health Minister, including the LNP's permanent 50-cent fares. A tremendous LNP initiative that we are proud to champion on this side.
Order,
an initiative those opposite.
I do not suppose that the member for Buderim needs my protection, but I am struggling to keep saying with all of the interjections coming from the left, my left-hand side. So tone them down, please. And this is the final general warning I'll give. I will start warning members on both sides under standing orders from now on. Member for Buderim.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'll finish my initial bit with this response. An initiative that the LNP were proud to deliver within our first 100 days, and that's something that Labor failed to do for 10 years. And that tells you everything that you need to know about the Labor Party. But, Deputy Speaker, turning to the bill, I stand to address a matter of utmost importance for Queensland, and that is productivity. Productivity because it affects every single Queenslander every single day. The lack of productivity caused by the bungling and incompetence and sweetheart deals of the former Labor government has caused considerable cost blowouts and delays to critical road and transport infrastructure and projects right across Queensland. In fact, I dare say, Deputy Speaker, had those opposite been more focused on delivering for Queenslanders, some of the projects that the member for Ipswich just spoke about in this place may have been delivered by the former government. Instead, we have had a decade of inaction and failure, a budget that's blown out to the point where we've got a ratings outlook downgrade. All of that is on the member for Woodridge and his failure to manage the budget adequately. Projects are over budget and they are delayed thanks to the CFMEU and the former government's cosy relationship with the CFMEU. Let's have a look at one in particular, Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3. Now, the blowout, just the most recent blowout on that project, is $330 million and a 12-month delay. Now, those opposites signed off on that. They signed off on it in September before they went into caretaker. They didn't tell anyone, mind you. They thought they'd bury that. Unfortunately for those opposite, the Queenslanders gave their trust to the LNP, and we've been able to be open with Queenslanders about the fact that those opposite spent $330 million of taxpayers' money subsidising the CFMEU on Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3. That is the reality of the Labor Party's record, Mr Deputy Speaker. Let's have a look at Cross River Rail. A former Transport Minister, who will remain unnamed, promised Queenslanders that Cross River Rail would be delivered within a budget of $5.4 billion and it would be completed by last year, 2024.
Someone careless with their emails.
Someone who was a little careless with their emails at times. The Crisafulli government made a commitment that we would reveal the true cost of Cross River Rail, which is what we've done. A real cost, a true cost of $17 billion. $17 billion on a project they said would be $5.4 billion. They said 2024. I have been advised that it will likely not be finished until 2029. Why, Mr Deputy Speaker? Why is Cross River Rail over budget and over time? It's because of sweetheart deals with the CFMEU. Productivity on Cross River Rail has been through the floor for a long, long time. Last year, when those opposite were in power, more than 148 days on Cross River Rail were lost due to industrial action. 148 days under them. destroys productivity. Productivity, bear in mind, there's only about 300 workdays in a year. We've lost about half of them due to industrial action on one of the biggest projects in the country, the biggest project in the state. That's Labor's record, Deputy Speaker. And it shows you how they willfully disregard taxpayers' dollars, the reckless abandon that they simply strike sweetheart deals with their mates at the cost of Queenslanders. The Christopher government, by contrast, Mr Deputy Speaker, we've demonstrated that we are open for business and we're committed to restoring productivity. We're restoring productivity to get on with the job of delivering these projects, of the road and the transport infrastructure that Queenslanders need. And the one thing that I agree with the member for Ipswich's contribution is that Queenslanders do need better road and transport infrastructure than they got under the former Labor government. I absolutely agree that for 10 years, Labor did not deliver for Queenslanders when it comes to road and rail infrastructure. Queenslanders are sick and tired of sitting in traffic because a road hasn't been upgraded or road work is going on for months or years longer than it should have done, simply because the former Labor government wanted to strike sweetheart deals with people like the CFMEU and their mates. We respect Queenslanders' hard-earned dollars and we respect taxpayers' dollars. We also respect their time, and we want workers and tradies to be well paid. We absolutely want workers and tradies to be well paid, but we also want work to be delivered on time and on budget, and Queenslanders deserve that, Mr Deputy Speaker. Productivity in Queensland has sharply decreased since 2015. That's their record, Mr Deputy Speaker. Productivity has decreased under them. Queenslanders demonstrated that they had lost trust in the former government and their ability to deliver projects on time and on budget. And that is one of the reasons that they have entrusted the LNP with delivering good government, because those opposite could not. And over time, Queenslanders saw that. Under the former government, productivity was a mere academic concept, and I'd suggest a political inconvenience. But the reality is that productivity has real-world consequences for all Queenslanders, and the Treasurer adeptly described some of those consequences. Weak productivity growth led to lower economic growth, stagnant wages, higher unemployment and rising inflation. Had productivity growth remained at its pre-2018 average, Queensland's real per capita income would have been $11,000 higher in 2023-2024. The construction in the utility sector in particular suffered under Labor's mismanagement, experiencing little to no productivity growth in the last 30 years. The lack of productivity has cost Queenslanders, it's cost them in their back pocket, and they remain wondering where is the road and rail that they so desperately need. This bill, the Queensland Productivity Commission bill, is a pivotal step in addressing these challenges. This is a bill that aims to re-establish the Queensland Productivity Commission, something that they killed over time because it suited them, it was politically inconvenient. The now Deputy Opposition Leader got rid of the Queensland Productivity Commission because it was politically inconvenient. And why did they get rid of the Queensland Productivity Commission? Because they wanted to introduce sweetheart deals with the CFMEU like BPIC. I'm pretty sure the Productivity Commission would have had a view that that was not in the interest of productivity and in delivering taxpayers' value for their hard-earned taxpayers' dollars. It's one of the reasons that we paused those BPIC provisions because we knew they were destroying productivity on Queensland job sites. And we're committed to restoring productivity because it costs homeowners and it costs renters and it costs taxpayers every single day when the CFMEU and their sweetheart deal with the Labor Party destroys productivity. Treasury modelling has revealed that if BPIC continued in their former form, Queenslanders would pay an additional 7% rent over the next 5 years and 22,000 homes would not be built in Queensland. The pause we announced back in December, we said it wouldn't apply to new projects and those who have not yet reached the procurement stage. We are investing considerable taxpayers' dollars in new infrastructure here in Queensland, and we want to receive value for money for the taxpayer. Those opposite are beholden to the CFMEU, Mr Deputy Speaker, because they owe their political existence to the CFMEU. The leader of the opposition is installed by the CFMEU. Many of those opposite are funded by the CFMEU, and that is why the sweetheart deals with the CFMEU have been cut. And this bill will end those processes because this bill will ensure that productivity is the focus for government, that productivity in all government processes, and the first measure will be to look at the construction industry because that is one of the key areas where productivity has been destroyed. We want to see workers well paid, We want to see good conditions and we want to see productivity. And that's what Queenslanders deserve. This bill delivers that. And I look forward to seeing the recommendations of the first Productivity Commissioner review. And unlike those opposite, we will be transparent and open. And I hear the scare campaign with respect to the Shadow Treasurer's amendments. All I can say is their record was to kill the Productivity Commission and bury its records.